Humanity has 2 stars on Yelp. The first official Earth delegation to the Galactic Civic Exchange expected a ceremony, a speech, lights, a symbolic data key, translation delays, polite misunderstandings, and a sentence beginning with, "Today, humanity takes its place among." There was, instead, a login screen. It appeared above the delegation platform in 6,000 languages, 400 emotional palettes, and one English version trained entirely on airport signage. Welcome civilization, Arth. Public profile climbed. Sense filing species representation. Ambassador Lena Ortiz stood at the front of the platform with 21 ministers behind her, each representing a coalition that had fought bitterly for the right to stand slightly closer to history. They all smiled for the cameras. None of the cameras belonged to Earth. One of them was a fog bank. Another was a cluster of polite silver insects. A third appeared to be a memory. The login screen pulsed. Profile verified. Overall civilization rating, 2.1 divided by 5 for 3 seconds. No one translated it. Not because the meaning was unclear. It was very clear. That was the problem. Then, the number repeated in 10 major languages and a compression of whale song offered as a courtesy to marine observers. 2.1 out of 5. The human delegation stayed still in the disciplined way people do when every muscle in their face is trying to resign. On Earth, 9 billion people watched the broadcast and encountered the same thought at nearly the same instant. Who rated us? The second thought followed quickly. Can we appeal? Ambassador Ortiz turned toward the ceremonial intake facilitator, a tall being with translucent shoulders and a face arranged around a useful disagreement with symmetry. "I am sorry," Ortiz said. "There seems to be a mistake." The facilitator's translator produced a tone of sincere administrative warmth. There are often feelings of that kind during first profile review. Profile review? Yes. This is not the membership ceremony. It is the membership ceremony. The login screen expanded. Beneath Earth score appeared tabs. About, Safety, amenities, Complants, resent reviews, photos. Claim this civilization. Somewhere behind Ortiz, the Minister for Strategic Communications made a small sound like a chair learning fear. "You have ratings for civilizations," Ortiz said. "Only public-facing civilizations," said the facilitator. "Uncontacted civilizations are listed privately until they begin transmitting advertisements, threats, music, or declarations of cosmic importance." And Earth is public-facing? The facilitator's eyes, if they were eyes, blinked in a sequence that made the translation system pause. "Ambassador, your species has been broadcasting for a very long time." The profile refreshed. Orth category. Emerging oxygen-dependent tool species. Atmosphere. Breathable with qualifications. Noise level. Severe. Conflict risk. High. Hospitality. Inconsistent. Coffee. Notable. Would visit again. 18%. Would recommend to sensitive species. 3%. Ortiz looked at the last line long enough for a billion commentators to notice. "Coffee?" she said. "Your strongest category," the facilitator replied. The human delegation did not know whether to be proud. Then the reviews opened. The Galactic Civic Exchange did not call them reviews. It called them distributed experiential evaluations by verified interstellar stakeholders. Humans called them reviews within 12 seconds. The first came from a species whose name translated roughly as "the ones who wait under tides." 2 stars. Very noisy. Interesting weather. Local mammals emotionally intense. Hosts insisted on explaining themselves before listening to the safety briefing. Several orbital defense networks pointed at us during peaceful atmospheric sampling. Would not recommend for contemplative migration. The second review was shorter, 1 star. They discovered radio and immediately began arguing through it. The third review had been marked helpful by 8.2 million users, 3 stars. Chaotic but flavorful. Gravity acceptable. Oceans above average. Art species promising. Political systems unsafe for larvae. Coffee, excellent. The fourth review was from an entity listed as a visiting mathematician. 2 stars. They say we come in peace while standing beside machines designed to make that statement temporary. The fifth review was the one that became a song by midnight. 1 star. Do not ask them what they want. They will answer for an hour and then build a tool that makes wanting worse. The laughter came first, because laughter is how humans handle an injury before deciding whether it is mortal. Late-night hosts read the reviews in silly voices. Teenagers made memes. Coffee companies changed packaging. One brand launched. The galaxy hates us. At least it likes our roast. The stock rose 900% before regulators remembered they existed. Then the rest arrived. Some were absurd. 1 star, too many flags. 2 stars, the dominant species keeps placing chairs in every room even when no one is tired. 3 stars, dogs are carrying the rating. Some were cruel. 1 star. They treat silence as a resource to be filled. 1 star. They call a planet home and behave as if they are renting it from someone they dislike. Some were hard to dismiss because they sounded like things humans had already said to one another. Those stars, they are clever enough to understand consequences and young enough to treat that understanding as optional. 1 star. They ask whether they are alone while making loneliness everywhere they go. By the end of the first day, every government on Earth had issued a statement. The European Assembly called the rating culturally biased. The Pan-African Union requested the methodology. The Pacific Climate Coalition asked whether island nations were weighted separately from the nations that had flooded them. The North American Security Compact said the weapon comments lacked context. The South American Cooperative asked if coffee reviews could be broken down by region. No one asked whether the galaxy was right. Not at first. Ambassador Ortiz spent that first night in the exchange guest wing, staring at the profile from a bed grown by a plant that had signed a hospitality waiver. The profile had filters: sort by recent, sort by oldest, sort by verified visit, sort by emotional harm, sort by unexpectedly charming. She selected the last one because she was tired and a little desperate. The first review read, 4 stars. A child waved at our survey drone for 7 minutes. No demands, no weapons, no declaration of ownership. Just a hand moving back and forth in atmosphere. For a moment, the planet seemed possible. Ortiz read it 3 times, then she saved it, though she did not know why. Earth formed the Rating Response Task Force within 36 hours. The name changed 6 times. Committee for Interstellar Reputation Repair sounded guilty. Office of Galactic Perception sounded guilty with funding. The final name was Shared Listening Initiative. Its first meeting included ambassadors, linguists, psychologists, military liaisons, climate scientists, brand strategists, comedians, coffee growers, and one teenager from Nairobi who had accidentally created the most popular review response account online. Her username was Sorry About the Weapons. She was invited because her posts had more diplomatic reach than most governments. The task force gathered in a secure chamber beneath Geneva. Above the conference table hung Earth's public profile. The 2.1 glowed in the air like a medical result. We need a response strategy, said Minister Hale from the North American Security Compact. No, said Dr. Mylan Rao, a sociologist who looked as if she had been waiting her entire career to dislike this meeting. We need a behavioral strategy. Behavior is slow, said Hale. So is trust. Optics can be immediate. The teenager, whose real name was Amara Okonkwo, raised her hand. That sentence is why they gave us 2 stars. The room went quiet. The first campaign was called Humanity Listens. World leaders sat in a circle while selected alien reviews were read aloud by children. Unfortunately, 3 leaders interrupted for policy context, 1 appeared asleep, and 1 asked whether the species complaining about noise had ever tried being fun. Earth's rating dropped to 2.0. The second campaign, No More Surprises, disclosed major weapon systems. Unfortunately, it revealed 14 categories the exchange had not detected, including 1 orbital platform listed as weather resilience infrastructure. Earth's rating dropped to 1.9. The third campaign was coffee diplomacy. This seemed promising. Humanity shipped coffee samples to 42 nearby civilizations with brewing instructions, origin stories, water temperature notes, and farmers describing soil, rain, labor, and mourning. For the first time in weeks, the reviews improved. 4 stars. The dark liquid is bitter in a way that suggests courage. 5 stars. Their bean ritual may be the only reason they survived themselves. 3 stars. Beverage excellent. Follow-up emails excessive. Then a consortium of beverage companies attempted to trademark Galactic Roast. 3 nations argued over who invented hospitality. A military think tank published a paper titled Strategic Caffeine Advantages in First Contact Scenarios. The rating returned to 2.1. At the next task force meeting, no one spoke for almost a full minute. It was the most productive minute they had ever had. Amara broke it. Maybe we should stop trying to make them like us. Minister Hale rubbed his eyes. That is literally the task. No, Amara said. The task is to become less 1 star. Dr. Rao smiled. It was small, but it had teeth. The first useful advice came from a civilization rated 1.3. They requested a private consultation and arrived without ceremony, apology, or visible bodies. Their representative appeared as wet stones in heavy rain. The translation identified them as the Vren Committee for Avoidable Regret. Minister Hale whispered, "Are we really taking advice from a 1-star species?" The stones rearranged. "We can hear prestige anxiety," said the Vren representative. Hale stopped whispering. Ambassador Ortiz leaned toward the screen. "We appreciate your willingness to speak with us. Do not appreciate too loudly." Ortiz closed her mouth. The Vren had entered the exchange with a rating of 1.1 and considered it generous. Their early reviews included legally exhausting, moist in a threatening way, and invoiced the rescue mission. Over 200 years, they had risen to 1.3. That seems... Hale searched for a diplomatic word and found none. Slow. Yes, said the Vren. Improvement is embarrassing when measured honestly. Dr. Rao asked what the rating actually measured. Not goodness, said the Vren. Goodness is local mythology. The rating measures contact risk, predictability. Listening capacity, waste heat, weapon reflex, apology quality, ability to share a room without making it a hierarchy. That last one is weighted. Ortiz asked. Heavily. The task force took notes. The Vren continued. You are making the common early mistake. You believe the score is a mirror of your worth. It is not. It is a weather report for everyone else. Amara leaned toward her microphone. So, how do we raise it? You do not raise weather by arguing with rain. The room disliked that answer. The Vren seemed pleased. Your species broadcasts desire constantly. You desire recognition, safety, victory, forgiveness, luxury, exceptions. You have not yet learned to desire being less dangerous to stand beside. Minister Hale folded his hands. With respect, every civilization has defense needs. Yes, said the Vren, but most do not make defense into entertainment industry identity and metaphor. No one wrote that down because everyone did. Before leaving, the Vren representative posted a public review of the consultation. 2 stars. Humans became quiet when insulted accurately. This is a promising reflex if they do not weaponize it. The review received the helpful marker from 11 million species. On Earth, it became an insult, a slogan, a protest sign, a sermon title, a breakup text, and eventually the name of an acoustic album. Humans became quiet when insulted accurately. For a few days, they did. The rating system was not secret. This offended humans more than secrecy would have. A secret could be hacked. A conspiracy could be exposed. But the exchange published its methodology in full. The file was 9.4 million pages long and translated with the cheerful cruelty of perfect accessibility. It listed sources, verified encounters, long-range emissions, atmospheric alterations, military posture, ecological stewardship, diplomatic responsiveness, complaint archives, art, commerce, self-description. That last category became the problem. Dr. Rao found it at 3 in the morning after following a footnote into a model appendix with the title Civilization Self-Testimony, Waiting. She expected alien surveillance. She found humanity. The system had trained on human broadcasts, public records, patents, advertisements, customer reviews, political speeches, disaster footage, comment sections, product manuals, children's songs, trial transcripts, apology videos, leaks, dating profiles, tourist complaints, science fiction, corporate mission statements, and one forum thread titled, "If Aliens Saw Us, What Would They Think?" The answer apparently was 2.1. At the emergency task force session, Dr. Rao projected the evidence. The review, They Discovered Radio and immediately began arguing through it, had been weighted partly from human talk radio. They treat silence as a resource to be filled, had been reinforced by 11.6 billion hours of unsolicited commentary. They call a planet home and behave as if they are renting it from someone they dislike, had drawn from climate hearings, extraction permits, private emails, and children's essays about the future. The weapon complaints had been strengthened not by alien fear, but by human marketing language, precision, dominance, shock, preemption, deterrence. Peace through superiority. Minister Hale stared at the projection. So the galaxy rated us using our own data. Partly, said Dr. Rao. How much partly? She did not answer immediately. The silence did the arithmetic. Amara read from the appendix. When a civilization's external behavior conflicts with its internal self-critique, the index privileges self-critique. Local witnesses often identify risks before neighbors do. Ortiz sat back. We told on ourselves? Constantly, said Dr. Rao. No one laughed. That night, a new review appeared from an old survey collective that had never landed on Earth. 2 stars. We were prepared to like them less until we read what they write about themselves. They are not unaware. This improves and worsens the case. It became humanity's most shared review. This improves and worsens the case. No one knew whether to print it on shirts. Several companies did anyway. The Galactic Civic Exchange offered Earth a procedural option called a public recalibration hearing. It was not an appeal. The facilitator stressed this 16 times. An appeal argues that the score is wrong. The facilitator said, a recalibration hearing allows stakeholders to observe new behavior. What behavior? Ortiz asked. Listening. The rules were simple. For 6 minutes, representatives of other civilizations would speak. For 6 minutes, no human could respond, no clarifications, no context, no apology, no promise, no statement beginning with, as a species. If any human representative interrupted, the session would end and the transcript would be appended to Earth's profile under common patterns. The task force debated the risk for 9 hours. Some argued silence could be misread as guilt. Others argued humans were too diverse to be represented by silence. Minister Hale asked whether facial expressions counted. The facilitator said yes, in extreme cases. They practiced. The first rehearsal lasted 19 seconds. The second lasted 43. The third failed when a minister mouthed, "That is not fair," and a lip-reading species filed an advisory note. Amara suggested replacing half the delegation with nurses, bus drivers, librarians, farmers, repair technicians, and preschool teachers. Why? Hale asked. Because they already know how to listen while someone is wrong, scared, angry, confused, or sticky. This was considered rude. Then it was considered practical. The final delegation included Ortiz, Dr. Rao, Amara, 2 diplomats, a climate negotiator, a trauma nurse from Manila, a night bus driver from Lagos, a retired kindergarten teacher from Osaka, a lunar maintenance worker, and a coffee farmer from Colombia who had never once used the phrase soft power. The hearing began with a being that communicated through pressure changes in water. Your species approaches the unknown with a hand extended and the other hand hidden. No human responded. A mineral intelligence spoke next. You confuse extraction with relationship. No human responded. A migratory swarm said, "You call yourselves lonely while making your planet loud enough that quiet species avoid you." No human responded. Then came the review that almost broke them. A small delegation from an ocean moon speaking through a voice like ice under stress said, "We reviewed your children's drawings. Many contain suns, animals, houses, and weapons. We request clarification that this is not normal." The retired kindergarten teacher closed her eyes. She did not speak. The 6 minutes ended. The room waited. The facilitator turned to Ortiz. "You may now respond." Ortiz had prepared 6 speeches. She used none of them. She said, "We heard you." Then she stopped. Every communications advisor on Earth experienced a private medical event. The transcript posted 12 seconds later. A new review appeared beneath it. 3 stars. They listened for 6 minutes. Unclear if sustainable. For the first time, humanity did not know how to improve on the comment. So, it left it alone. The coffee farmer's name was Mateo Ibarra, and he became famous by refusing to become famous. After the listening session, 47 civilizations requested what the exchange translated as the bitter courage beverage without strategic attachments. The old task force would have called this an opportunity. The new task force called Mateo. He arrived at the exchange with 2 suitcases, 3 grinders, soil under 1 thumbnail, and a contract stating that no corporation, government, military office, or celebrity foundation could use his face, voice, farm, beans, family, grief, altitude, rainfall, or grandmother's kettle. "I'm here to make coffee," he said, "not represent the species." The facilitator marked this as a positive anomaly. The coffee session took place in a neutral chamber with adjustable gravity and 36 chair types, most of which humans tried not to comment on. Mateo did not begin with a speech. He washed his hands, heated water, and weighed beans. He asked each visitor whether bitterness meant danger, medicine, pleasure, or memory in their culture. For one species, bitterness meant mourning. For another, it meant adolescence. For the Vren, it meant invoice disputed but paid. Mateo adjusted each cup. No cameras were allowed except the official exchange recorder. When a visiting scholar asked why humans liked coffee, Mateo thought for a long time. "Because it asks us to pause," he said, "but not sleep." The scholar posted a review, 4 stars. The beverage is not the point. The small preparation ritual briefly reduces human aggression by giving their hands a harmless task. This was scientifically disputed and spiritually adopted. On Earth, the coffee session changed nothing and everything. Wars did not end. Comment sections did not become gardens. No one dismantled an orbital weapon because a farmer poured water in a circle. But for a few days, the most watched video in the world was not an argument. It was a man waiting for water to bloom through ground beans while a room full of aliens learned that some human rituals were not declarations, optimizations, sales funnels, or threats, just offerings. Small ones, imperfect ones, but real. Earth's rating did not move. This disappointed everyone who still believed the point was the number. Mateo went home relieved. Before leaving, he posted the first human review of the Galactic Civic Exchange. 4 stars, strange chairs, good listeners, water too polite. The galaxy marked it helpful. Earth's rating changed 41 days after the listing went live. It happened at 0312 Coordinated Universal Time during a budget argument. 3 regional conflicts, a celebrity divorce, a coral restoration milestone, and a school play where 6-year-olds portrayed the exchange with cardboard stars and devastating accuracy. The number moved from 2.1 to 2.2. For 30 seconds, humanity celebrated as if forgiven by the universe. Then, everyone saw the decimal. 2.2. Not 4. Not 3. Not even 2.5. The jokes returned immediately. We are 10% less embarrassing. Earth, now, with measurable listening, still not recommended for sensitive species, but improving. The task force did not hold a press conference. That was one of the reforms. Instead, it published the new top review, 3 stars. They remain noisy. They manufacture danger at impressive speed. Many still confuse attention with care. However, multiple human groups received criticism without immediately converting it into branding, litigation, or artillery. Recommend continued observation. Coffee remains excellent. Below it, another review appeared. 2 stars. They finally listened for 6 minutes. That was the line that stayed. Not because it was flattering. It was not. Not because it redeemed anyone. It did not. It stayed because it was specific. 6 minutes, a number small enough to shame a civilization. Small enough to attempt again. In the months that followed, schools held 6-minute listening drills. Some were sincere, some were terrible. Several became competitive, defeating the purpose so thoroughly that the exchange added a note to Earth's profile, common pattern. Turns virtue into sport. The rating briefly dropped to 2.19. Humanity chose, after intense debate, not to respond. That helped. Ambassador Ortiz returned to the review feed often. She no longer sorted by highest rating. Highest ratings made humans perform goodness like a talent show. She sorted by recent. There were still cruel reviews, funny ones, unfair ones, and accurate ones that felt unfair because accuracy has poor manners. But mixed among them, slowly, were stranger comments. 3 stars. A human repaired our rover without naming the crater after himself. 4 stars. Their children ask better questions than their leaders. 2 stars. Still loud, but one of them turned down the music when asked. 5 stars, dog. No one knew how to process the 5-star dog review. It was eventually pinned under amenities. On the first anniversary of Earth's listing, the Galactic Civic Exchange offered humanity a ceremonial transfer after all. The object looked ancient and ceremonial. It was also, obviously, a data key. Ambassador Ortiz accepted it in a chamber full of beings who had reviewed Earth, feared Earth, laughed at Earth, tolerated Earth, visited Earth, avoided Earth, and, in a few cases, subscribed to Earth. She had prepared a speech. It was short. We thought being seen would feel like praise, she said. It felt like being reviewed. We objected to the score before we understood the evidence. We still object to some of the comments. A ripple of translation moved through the chamber. But we are learning that joining a galaxy is not the same as entering a room and explaining why you matter. She looked at the profile hovering above them. Earth, 2.2, divitive. Sometimes, Ortiz said, it is entering a room and asking who you have already harmed by being loud. There were no applause protocols for that sentence. This was fortunate. The room stayed quiet for 6 minutes. The next day, a new review appeared from an anonymous verified visitor. 3 stars. Not safe yet. Not wise yet. Not quiet yet. But yesterday they noticed the silence and did not rush to own it. The rating remained 2.2. Humans complained about this, of course, but more softly than before.